we're back at it again with another Battlefront update. After the major news dump that was dropped earlier this month, June has been sort of slow when it came to Battlefront 2. But fortunately, things are now starting to pick up again as tomorrow is the release of the big June update titled Where Are Those Droidekas? In this video, we'll be touching a little bit on the pleasant surprises arriving in the update that are both mentioned and not mentioned in the patch notes. As well, we'll also be going over a little bit of other Battlefront related news that directly doesn't involve the June update, but rather things that'll be coming after it. And before we get into any of that, but a quick reminder, as if you do like these type of videos, then do remember to give it a like to show your support for not only this update series, but also the content within it. With that out of the way, let's get into it. First up, we've got to talk about the June update that is going to be going live tomorrow on Wednesday. And before we get too deep into this, I just want to make everyone aware that I won't be covering everything that we'll be getting in the update. Mainly because I already did a big video on just that earlier this month, so repeating myself would just be a waste of time. So if you've been out of the loop and have no idea what the June update is about, then check out my last Battlefront news update video to get you up to speed. But yeah, the three major big additions from this update will be the Droideka reinforcements for the Separatists, the TX-130 tank for the Republic, and Naboo as a Capital Supremacy map. And for anyone curious on the exact deployment times, Benwalk has revealed that information today along with the estimated update size. Not surprisingly, PC will be getting the update first, as is usually the case. Then PS4 and not long afterwards Xbox One. In addition to that, the full patch notes for the update were also dropped today as well, which contain the usual bug fixes and tweaks for heroes and reinforcements. I'm not gonna go through all of them here as there really isn't that much that stands out, at least for me. But there were some interesting notes that I did want to pick out and highlight as they will change quite a bit and I imagine should make some people happy. First up is the Hero Health Star Card adjustment, which Benwalk did make a note of that it's a community-wide request, which sees the adjustment of health on defeat star card values to be consistent across all heroes. The heal values upon defeating enemy heroes have been changed now for Anakin, Count Dooku, Iden, Rey, and Palpatine per the following. And while you guys know me, I'm not a big fan of hero combat, but I do think it's pretty cool that DICE really listened to the community here and made such a change. Especially for all the players who were dissatisfied of the values before that they were getting with Anakin and company. Now if this value adjustment does turn out to be well received, then it would be great for DICE to keep fulfilling more community requests like this, especially when it's really called for. A big change or bug fix, if you can call it that, is DICE have removed the sprint prevention during Finn's big deal ability. And for this I can just say finally, whoa, about time DICE. It just never made any sense in the first place to remove Finn sprinting while using the big deal ability, especially since all it does is really helps out improve those around him than Finn himself. If anything, all it did before now was put him at a disadvantage by taking away his sprinting. With this no longer an issue for Finn, I suspect more players will now be more open to playing as him as his own ability won't hamper himself anymore. A much needed tweak that Finn players will definitely appreciate. Another great small addition in the June update is that blaster heroes will now be able to, get this, finally crouch. This is something that has been requested for since 2017 and it never made sense how blaster heroes could crouch in a single player campaign, yet for some strange reason it wasn't possible in multiplayer. And we never got an explanation for why that was the case. DICE previously ignored all the requests to implement this into multiplayer and now finally they decided to listen and put this in. Now I doubt we'll ever find out why this went ignored for so long, but honestly at this point it doesn't really matter. We're getting the small feature that a lot of us wanted for so long finally tomorrow. And like the old saying goes, better late than never. Also, while minor, I do think it should be worth noting here, but lightsabers will be seeing a visual makeover in the June update. According to the patch notes, various visual improvements to the lightsaber blades will be made for all heroes, adding pointed tips and improving their brightness. This was especially evident in the lightsabers seen in the June update promo. And again, it's a minor change and really has no impact on battles or anything like that. But I do appreciate this as people haven't been completely happy with the look of lightsabers in Battlefront 2 for a good while now. especially when it came down to it and people were comparing the lightsabers in Battlefront 2015 and said that those even looked better, then yeah. What more can you say? It wasn't a good look for DICE for downgrading the effects of lightsabers in the sequel. But fortunately, it's nice to see that DICE are fixing yet again something that should have been taken care of ages ago. Interestingly enough, Guillaume Raz, who's the hero designer at DICE, recently tweeted out that he's made some significant changes to the jumps for Bossk, Grievous, and the BX Commando. But looking at the patch notes, they aren't mentioned anywhere. So either this won't be included in this patch yet, or it will be, but DICE simply forgot to mention it in the patch notes. Which, mind you, this wouldn't be the first time that has happened, but regardless, it would be nice to know more about these jump changes. For one thing, DICE are going to be improving the jumps overall and not really decreasing them, so I'm curious of how high they're going to be able to jump now. If anything, we're going to know the answer to this tomorrow when the update goes live. Next, while this also wasn't in the patch notes, it does still pose an interesting question that we fortunately have the answer to. Basically, it deals with the Enforcer unit count, where Jay Ingram was asked how many Enforcers the Seppies will be able to have on the battlefront at once in addition to the newly added Droidekas. And Jay responded that there won't be any changes here, as Droidekas and the B2s will share the same number of Enforcer units. Which, what can I say, is totally fair. And in case anyone is wondering, you should be able to have a max total number of 4 Droidekas out on the battlefield at any one time. Now, as for news not related to the June update, we still have some more good news for all the players who do love hero combat, especially lightsaber hero combat. As Ben Walk today revealed in a tweet that DICE are currently working on better improving lightsaber hit detection and blocking, stating that heroes are currently a big focus at DICE right now. Which we all know what that means, as we should be expecting to see 2 new female lightsaber heroes be coming out sometime in the upcoming months. Which makes sense why DICE have decided to prioritize on improving these lightsaber related mechanics, as I'm sure they're gonna want to release Ahsoka and Ventress with substantial improvements to lightsabers. Now with that said, from what we know, DICE still has strong intent on adding even more reinforcements to the game based on Dennis Branville's comments, which he wants to see even more reinforcements added. However, the idea behind new reinforcements coming to Battlefront 2 will supposedly change, as we most likely won't be seeing any more new reinforcement classes be introduced. The last new class that was added was the Infiltrator class, and based on Dennis's comments, it looks like that will be the last one DICE intend on adding. Because instead now, all new reinforcements will now be a part of existing classes. Kind of like how Droidekas isn't an entirely new class, but instead part of the Enforcer class. Which looks like that's going to be the new trend going forward with reinforcements. And I think this is smart, as it does require less work on DICE's part to try and implement yet another new class, along of course the creativity of what canon units could possibly fit within that specific class. And well, you know, it has to make sense too. And yeah, I mentioned canon because remember, DICE are only allowed to put units from canon in Battlefront 2. No Legends material whatsoever. And speaking on that, I actually did an entire Declassified video showcasing every single canon Special Forces unit for all 3 eras. Which if we do see new reinforcements added to the game later on for existing classes, then 100% it's gonna be some of these from that video. And if you're curious on what potential reinforcements DICE are allowed by Lucasfilm to add, then I highly recommend you check out that video, as there's quite a lot which would fit into the existing classes we have in the game right now. I mean, technically speaking, this also means that Clone Commandos could still be added as a new unit for the Infiltrator class too, since they are, well, infiltrators, even more so than ARC troopers. And based on DICE's new stance on adding reinforcements, this would make the most sense. As for the news on the offline front, we do have something new on the PVE mode that is coming out later this summer. While DICE haven't divulged much information on what this mode will entail, there has been some speculation regarding it being potentially a Horde-like mode, kind of similar to what we had in Battlefront 2015. And while that mode was a lot of fun, it's not something I really need to have in Battlefront 2 right now, especially not over something like instant action of bots and vehicles. And well, fortunately, we now have confirmation that this won't be the case. As Benoit has stated, the new PvE mode coming in August will not be a Horde mode. And while that may be good news for me, it might not be the best news for some other people, and I get that. I completely understand that Horde mode, heck even zombie mode in the Call of Duty games is insanely popular. But based on everything we've heard Dennis say so far about this mode, it's 90% going to be a large-scale conquest-like mode with bots and vehicles that a lot of us wanted since day one. And while we did have something similar to that in Skirmish and Battlefront 2015, it was a buggy mess and made by 2 developers on their lunch break, so that was to be expected. However, this new PvE mode is being overseen by Dennis himself, who's the design director of Battlefront, so it's safe to say that expectations for this are rather high. And I don't know about you, but I can't imagine Dennis letting us down here. Especially with him, of all people, knowing fully darn well the demand that offline content has within this community and the longevity of Battlefront 2. But that'll do it for this Battlefront update. As always, if you enjoyed this video, please like it, share it, and subscribe to the channel to not only support it, but keep up with Star Wars news, gaming, and canon lore released every week. And consider following me on Twitter and Facebook to never miss out on the latest Star Wars related content. Thanks for watching, and may the Force be with you.